What's up? What a weird thing. What a weird thing that is. Again, as I told you guys before, I have a new chair and it has wheels on it. So when I sit in it, I slide backwards. That's new. That's new to me. I don't love it. I don't like it. I like being right where I'm supposed to be. Well, it is what it is. It is my current situation, which is right here with you, episode 106 of GreenBean's Jets Pod. I am GreenBean, and welcome. I'm happy that you are here today with me in this off season of weirdness. Right? What a weird off season this is. Partially because it's shorter for us, but yet it feels longer. How can that be? What is that? I feel very, I don't know, it just feels like stretched. But the combine's coming. We just had the Senior Bowl. The combine will be here in a few moments. That's nice. And then we'll have the draft. Ooh, that's nice, right? The combine always changes everything, man. It really does. The combine makes a lot of people change their minds on some guys. You know what changes people's minds the most with the combine? What do you think it is? It's the 40. The 40. People's 40 times. Oh, man, I'll tell you. We go nuts over the 40 times, don't we? And it's funny because you can have, let's say you have 100 guys, right? And the fastest guy is 4.28. 4.28 seconds to run 40 yards. The slowest guy is 5.1 seconds. So we have less than 1 second, which is click. That's it. Click. That's all it is. 4.29. Wow, blazer. 5.1. Slow, fat, lumbering slob. Isn't that funny? It's really crazy. So there are, when you get into the skill positions, you start seeing wide receivers, running backs, and the like. One guy will run, again, 4.34. You're like, oh man, he's 6 foot tall, 4.34. That's fast, man. That's good. That guy's a blazing speed guy. He's a speedster. Another guy comes in, he's 6 foot, he runs a 4.48, which is, detectable by our eye. Their bodies would be, if they ran next to each other, the bodies would almost be like rubbing, like blending. Whoop, 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 whoop. Slow, fast. Fast, slow. And then people, every year, we all do it. You got a guy, you got your wide receiver number 2. Oh, I love this guy. What do you like about him? I love his speed. I love this, I love that, but I love his speed. And then he runs a 4.41, and you're like, that's my number 8 wide receiver. What? I thought he was number 2. No. Number 8. Why? Slow as shit. And it happens every year. It's fun. Now, the real good thing you want to pay attention to when you get into the big uglies is you want to look at the 10-yard split. That's the thing. Sure, it's nice to watch your defensive tackle chasing the quarterback down the sideline. It shows, perseverance and vigor and all the great qualities that you want. But how rarely do you need that? It's like you just don't, it's good to do it. Not saying that. But as far as who I'm drafting, 10-yard split for me, baby. How fast can they get? Can they traverse the first 10 yards of the 40? And now we're talking. All right, anyway. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff. We got to get through this one, man. And we're starting to see some pieces. We're starting to get opinions. We're starting to kind of filter through a lot of the rumors. If you pay attention to it like I do, I like to actually observe rumor season, which is not easy to do, man. And even, for someone like myself who's been paying attention for decades to this madness, it has certainly increased in its madness over the years. The last 5 years, man, let me tell you, you guys, if you're one of the people who've just kind of stumbled in here, holy shit, there's a lot going on in the offseason. I had no idea. I was surfing in Guam. Who knows? Now you know that all this stuff's going on. 5 years ago, it wasn't like this. And 5 years before that, it wasn't like 5 years ago. It has certainly increased. More and more agencies and analysis and statistical companies have come out to show you different varying forms of statistical analysis and points of view and all this sort of stuff. It is definitely increased. But for somebody like myself who has been paying attention for a long time and learned years ago, like, man, I can't attach my well-being to these opinions, these rumors that come out, All of a sudden, some press guy in Arizona will put out a tweet, and it says, the New York Jets are rumored to want to take Larry Fitzgerald out of retirement. And everybody goes nuts. The national papers pick it up. The Jets fan sided press. Everybody starts writing about it, using this tweet as a source, and it's just some guy. And we all get mad and we fight with each other and we no longer like our friends because you want Larry Fitz and I think he's old and screw you, man. You don't know what you're not even a fan, man. And we do all the stuff. I did it. You know when it really popped for me? Not that it didn't. It took years after this to really settle in. But you know when it popped was when I arranged a fist fight at a flagpole in the middle of a town with a guy on the internet for Vinny Testaverde versus Chad Pennington. We were going to meet and fight. Oh, that's the goods. Now, I don't think we were ever really going to meet, but that was what was going on. Dude, I'm here. I'm only 20 minutes from that spot. Yeah, me too, baby. I'll be there tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I'll be there tomorrow at 3. All right. Come alone. Come alone. Don't bring anyone. No witnesses to what I'm going to do. You like Vinny. So that was when I started realizing, like, oh my God, what am I doing? But so here we are. And if you can stand back and look at it, and again, even for myself, like somebody who's been paying attention for a long time, it's still very, very difficult not to get sucked into, oh, what if? Are they really going to trade for Hunter Renfrow? Well, if they do that, then that means, then I guess, and you start doing that stuff. It's hard. It's hard not to. So we'll talk about all that stuff today. We're also going to take a look at some former Jets greats recently honored or about to be honored New York Jets greats that have some opinions about our quarterback position. Some specific guys out there. I'm sure you may have stumbled across one or two of these opinions. So they're out there as well. We're also going to look at our player profile of the week for episode 106. Is there somebody on the roster with number 6? Let's take a look. Well, we're going to do all that stuff today, right after I ask you to do a few things. One is to consider giving this video a little thumbs up. It helps. I like it. YouTube likes it. It makes things fun. Okay, click that if you like the video. It's really appreciated. The other thing is to subscribe to the channel. There's really no better way to help the channel grow. That's basically it. We get followers, we grow as a channel, and you can do that by hitting the subscribe button. That's greatly appreciated. The last thing I'll ask you is to support our sponsor. Our sponsor for the show is none other than Manscaped, guys. Manscaped, below the waist men's grooming. Absolutely, unequivocally, I said it the way I'm saying it, the finest in below the waist men's grooming has recently jumped out of the ball bag into the beard bag. What do you think of that? They've come up top. Now they're in Green Bean world and they are being used. Not that I wasn't using the other stuff for my beard. Anyway, I was, but now they have beard products with a specifically designed beard trimmer called the Hedger. The Beard Hedger, fantastic products, guys. Truly, I use them daily. I love them. It's a true labor of love, this ad read. So you can go ahead and get in on the Manscaped goodness and save yourself 20% when you get to checkout on their website by using the promo code GreenBean. All one word, GreenBean. They just instantly take 20% of your bill off the table, gone, and then they throw in free international shipping as well. The best. Manscaped, manscaped.com, promo code GreenBean. Get in on the action, everybody. And thank you to Manscaped for supporting the channel and the show. Guys, one more thing, actually. If you'd like to get increased access to just deep breakdowns and classic games, and we are hanging all day, every day in an exclusive little pocket of this world called the Beanbaggers. If you'd like to get involved with that, This Wednesday, we're breaking down, I think it's wide receivers with our boy Dom C in a private little Zoom room. You can ask questions, and it's great. It's all free. Dude, it's supposed to be about an hour. We did an hour and 50 minutes last week or something like. I think it was an hour and 50 minutes. Yeah, we just keep going. We don't shut up. So you can get access to that by clicking the link in the description that says join the Beanbaggers. Pick your tier. Come on in. And it supports the channel, and I greatly appreciate it. But guys, you get a whole bunch of goodness and fun stuff on the comeback, and that is good too. There you go, the Beanbaggers. All right, who doesn't love them guys? Those guys are the best. All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about player profile for episode 106. A guy who's only been here for a brief minute, but has made his presence known by kicking the longest field goal in New York Jets history, the 60-yard man himself, Mr. Greg Zuerlein, better known as Greg the Leg. There he is. Oh, look at him. You see him? Is he here? Yeah, that's where I put it. Right there, Greg the Leg. Okay, so Greg the Leg is he's a new kicker for us. You know, we brought him in last offseason. He wears the number 6. That's why he's the guy for episode 106. He's an 11-year vet. He's made one Pro Bowl, but also an All-Pro. He's a first-team All-Pro in 2017 when he was still with the Rams. He was a part of the St. Louis Rams and went over to Los Angeles when the Rams went there. So he was with the Rams for a total of 8 years. Then he went down to Dallas for 2 years, and then he came to us for 1 year. Now, the interesting thing with Greg, I think a lot of Jets fans feel like we should just keep him, right? He's pretty damn solid. He made 57-yarders, 55-yarders, the 60-yarder. So you felt more confident than in years past. When he was trotted on the field and it was a 53-yard field goal, you said, okay, well, our guy's going to make this. You felt good about that. Now, that all said, while I agree with that, and I feel the same way, looking at it from like, an overview perspective, he was an 81.1% kicker. And that includes, he only missed one extra point this year. So the most of this we're going to be talking about is his field goals, right? So his kickoffs, whatever, the NFL has basically sucked the life out of that for us. So it doesn't even mean anything anymore. But the kickoffs, 81.1% accuracy. Now that puts him at number 14th on the list. Good. It's okay. Middle of the pack. Not bad. We're used to hanging out there in the bottom. We usually have 4 kickers a year the last bunch of years. Vedvik, oh my God, Kessick, right? All these guys. Is that his name, Kessick? Something like that. We have all these guys. So getting Zuerlein in here felt pretty good, but here's the downside of it. Number one, he's 35. He's going to be 36 years old and hopefully eventually 37 and on till his 90s, right? But he's 35 years old now. So he's on the tail end of the usefulness as far as kickers' legs, right? We see that some make a little bit older. Nick Folk is a little bit older, I think, these days. Obviously, there are guys around the league that kick longer, but 35 is kind of where you start going, all right, he's considered a little bit on the older side for a kicker, and we're going to see a dip, right? So you have to worry about that, whether you commit to this guy. The other part of it is the guy that we let go. While I think his leg might not be quite as strong, Eddie Pinheiro was significantly younger. He was going into his 3rd year. The Jets found him. He got injured, and the Jets found him on a scrap heap. The end of our 2021 season, he was 100% accuracy. We brought Zuerlein and had a little competition, and we chose Greg the Leg. Now, not a bad decision. It was just for what it is. But when you take a look at this list, you see a name above Greggy Poo, and it says Eddie Pinheiro, 94.3% kicker. So he's 8th in the NFL. Eddie Pinheiro, that's the kind of guy you say, hey, man, we're going to commit to. We're going to give you a 3, 4, 5-year contract, whatever you want, because we want this guy around. 94% kicker and plus 94+% kicker. He got a decently strong leg as well. But he did a great job, and so we have Greg the Leg. Now, no matter how you slice it, even if we decide to give him another contract, his last year was a 1-year, $2.75, $0.000 million contract, $2.75 million contract for 1 season. Now, does he take that? Does he take less? Does he want more years? Is there another team out there ready to give him a little bit more? Who knows? He also had workout bonuses, which could increase the contract to $3,250,000, broke down to $14,000 and change per game that he was active. There was some injury concern. So I think, that's how that went. So about $3 million. Now, is that good? Is that bad for a guy like this? Do you want to try to see if he'll take 1.5 and so you can have another $1.5 million? I don't know. We got to see what it is. I'm of the school of thought like, hey, man, try to keep as much of the team together as you can. Stop needing to replace guys and all that jazz. Do regret I was all team Eddie Pinheiro last year. It is what it is. I was very happy with Greg ultimately, except for that, opening day. We're standing there in the rain and against the Ravens in MetLife, and Zerline comes out and misses it. And I'm like, I don't love it. That's how you feel. I want Eddie. But we do have a good kicker. 81.1% is still solid, still good. And he's a guy that we have to make a decision on. He's a free agent. So who knows what we do if the Jets maybe want to look to the draft. They passed plenty of good kickers that we have toyed with in our mocks for years. We want them. We want these guys. Blankenship, York, Dicker. We wanted all these guys. Bass. What's the guy from the Bengals? What the hell's his name? He was my fantasy kicker. I can't remember his name. I want to say Eccles. That ain't it. The guy. He's great too. We wanted him. So we passed all these guys for the likes of Jonathan Marshall and whoever else. Okay, it's fine. But maybe this is the year we just go, you know what? Let's just get the top kicker in the country in the 6th and just call this one a day. And then we can let guys like Greg Zuerlein walk. It's going to be interesting. A lot of fans like him. I like him. I'd be totally fine with keeping him. But that's another decision that general manager Joe Douglas has to make. And there he is. Greg Zuerlein, the kicker of the week, or the player of the week. Might as well. He's the kicker of the week, too. There he is. So let's get into this next section. I've got interesting stuff, man. Again, it's the offseason. The truth is nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. 22-33. Hold on a second. But that doesn't mean there's not news. So for that, let's get into the news of the week. Something real did happen this week, and that is, we do know that there's a guy that the Jets are rumored to be interested in. He's not available, so you can't talk to him. He's under contract, right? It'd be tampering. We lose a pick, all the jazz. You can't do it, even though they are. We know they are. Aaron Rodgers went into a dark retreat. Now, everybody went, guy's a freak. All this stuff, lots of mud, lots of funny jokes, pokes, and all this stuff. Well, the truth is, he did it, and he came out. He came out of the retreat. Now, at the same time, the New York Jets happened to coincide the visits accordingly. Derek Carr was here with the New York Jets while Aaron Rodgers was in the dark retreat. Now, what the hell is this thing, the dark retreat? Well, you do a little perusing around the internet and you can find it. You can see what it looks like in there. So why don't we look at this place? No, it's not, I guarantee it's not what a lot of us were thinking. If you look at this, it's up in the mountains. It's like, you kind of walk into the side of a hill. Beautiful, beautiful surroundings and everything. And there's a video. I'm actually going to put the link because I'm going to use a little bit of their footage to the Yes Theory. The owner of Yes Theory, they made a video and he went in there for 5 days. Amar, so he went in there and take a look at this. It's pretty interesting, man. Now, when you're in there, they turn the lights off. You can't see a damn thing. So when you're in there, the theory is, guys, is that we're just inundated all day long with stimuli, whether it's visual, audio, feelings, emotion, actual physical touch, cold, hot, all these things. Humans absorb 11 million bits of information per second, 10 million of which are absorbed through the eyes. Can you imagine? 10 million bits of information per second through the eyes. So removing all that. Hey, man, you might not want to do it. My good friend Matt O'Leary said he'll take 15 minutes. He's out. I get that, man. I think most of us feel that way. But the idea is that you can shut off the outside world, all the reporters, all the lights, the flashes, the opinions, everything. And you just sit there and you can meet yourself for the first time. So it's pretty interesting. Well, that happened. I thought you'd be interested in taking a look. That's what it looks like. It's not what I thought. I know, people are, it looked like in my brain, I had like a phone booth. Just like open the door, sit down on a stool, and that's what you think, like a lockbox. That's kind of what you think it is. It's not. It's a beautiful setting. Minimalist, of course. So you don't need anything. You can the bathroom, you got the bath, you got the bed, you got food, you got a fridge, you got a sink, you got a toilet, and you got the stuff. That's it. It's what you need. And so that happened. So now Aaron Rodgers is out of the retreat. And now, look, going from there to actual New York Jets, it kind of blends together. A few Hall of Famers, brand new, fresh out of the box Hall of Famers, have opinions on one Aaron Rodgers and even some thoughts on Derek Carr. Now, let's start with the guy who has a little bit of an opinion on both, the great Joe Klecko, who is finally being honored. Jets fans with gray hairs like myself, which, by the way, I'm not all the way gray, a little bit up here, but you can see. Should I do the rest of the video like that? That's what happens inside of a hat. Let's not do that to you. It'd be very distracting. Ooh, there he is. Okay. So, Joe Klecko, guys like myself have been bitching and moaning about Joe Klecko being excluded from the Hall of Fame. Dude, since I was a kid, man. I was like in high school the first time that I was really talking about that. Joe Klecko should be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, you think? Huh? Like, that's when we started. Then it was like I'm in my 30s and my 40s. And what the hell? They're still ignoring this guy? So here it is. It finally happens. And now Joe Klecko, look, he's been rattled his cage a little bit. He's got shit to say. He's like, hey, you know what? I got thoughts on that. This might just be the springboard into us hanging out with Joe Klecko a whole lot more, which would be a good thing. Number one, he's kind of fearless with what he's going to say, but he's not a loose cannon, right? At least not what we've seen. He can tell you what's true, like, hey, the reason I'm being ignored for the Hall of Fame is because I was on bad teams. And back then, bad teams didn't get coverage, so nobody knows who the hell I am. That's what it is. If he was on the Cowboys of the day or the Steelers or whatever team that was great, the Redskins of the late 80s, he was first ballot Hall of Famer, man. Like, that's who he is. He knows that. He has said things of that sort. So he's a guy that's kind of not afraid to say things. Doesn't feel like he would go off into crazyville, though. Sometimes you have those guys, oh, God, this guy, wish he would shut up. He's embarrassing. He doesn't seem like he's that guy. Now, his teammate, line mate, Marty Lyons, he's a stalwart in New York Jets kind of coverage, and he has the Marty Lyons Foundation. He's out front in a very, very positive way, and maybe he can kind of hold Joe Klecko's hand and kind of get him into some more entrenched positions with the New York Jets. I think that would be really, really cool, and be a great capper for his experience as a New York Jet. He's one of only 4 players to have their number retired up to this point. I do feel Revis's number will be retired. I think any second they should be retiring Wayne's because they don't use it. Do you realize nobody has had the number 80 since Wayne Corbett hung it up? No one. Why don't you just fucking retire the guy's number? Give it to him, man. He's in the Ring of Honor. I don't know what it is. So maybe he'll have his number retired. But officially, we got Joe Namath, Don Maynard, we got Curtis Martin. Then they retire Joe Klecko, which is great. And then we retired Dennis Byrd, thankfully, just so thankfully in my heart, before he ended up passing away at just the young age of 50. I mean, dude, I'm 50, So Dennis Byrd tragically taken from us at 50 years old, but he had his number retired with the New York Jets, and I think that's just fantastic. Why you don't wait with stuff like this? Like, why aren't we retire? Give Wayne the honor if you're not going to use his number, man. Like, what is it? Nobody's had 80 since Wayne Corbett. Just do it. Give it to him, the little fellow from Hofstra, man. Clearly, he's one of our greats. So I don't know. But we have Klecko's one of those guys, Ring of Honor, number retired. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. Wouldn't it be great to kind of cap all that with like, hey, he covers Jets games or he's kind of at the facility, just does something, some role covering the Jets, maybe with SNY or who knows, right? Just something. Maybe he does the game call. Maybe he does color with, for the AM coverage of the game. Who knows? Something like that. Do something. Give Joe Klecko something. It'd be nice to see. But we get our first taste of this stuff because we rattled it. He's like, I got thoughts. I want to say some stuff. So they asked him what he thought about Aaron Rodgers. Now he has thoughts about Aaron. Obviously, nobody's going to take anything away from Aaron Rodgers' greatness. That's not what we're doing here. But he says he doesn't really think he's a good fit. Now, if you remember, Joe Klecko was at the New York Jets facility early in the season. It actually was training camp, and he was hanging out with Woody Johnson. He was talking about the obvious chemistry that is on this team. He said it's palpable. You can feel it here. There's just a camaraderie here, was the word he used. That's not always present, you know? And so he identified. He also talked about how great it would be if Revis and him got in the Hall the same year. Now, who knew we were going to win both Rookie of the Years at the same time and everything? But he talked about that as if it would be a great thing. We now know it is a great thing. It came to pass, which is rare for us. But they asked, what do you think? Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, and he says, I don't think Rodgers is a fit with the young guys. I related this stuff to myself when we came up as a young team, when we started winning. Why it was a good fit for all of us was because we all worked together and came up together. I've watched Rodgers over the years. He's a great player. You don't become MVP 3 times without doing what he's done. All right, so there's that. So he makes sure to be complimentary. Now, you got to remember this. Joe Klecko comes from a different era. Like now, most of these guys don't stay on a team for a long time. Like, yes, for him, and I still feel this way, it's better to have homegrown. You're a draft guys, keep the team together as long as you can, have that core. Yes, it's always going to be better that way. But in today's day and age, it's more than acceptable for guys to just come in and be the final piece. Like or even few pieces, right? We saw it with Tom Brady. He was with the Patriots his whole entire career, 20-something years. Goes down to Green Bay. They just picked him up here, boop, boop, like the Google Maps guy. Boop, but drop him over here and he wins a Super Bowl. And that team couldn't make the playoffs for nothing. They were bottom feeders. Right there, right to the Super Bowl, and there it is. So I think it's a different era, and you have to take that into consideration. So his feelings are legit, of course, but they're skewed slightly. But what he wants to talk about is why, right? So why? Why isn't he a good fit? So what? He comes from a different team. So what? When he didn't have the perfect arrangement with receivers and the line, his attitude was condescending somewhat to the players. Now, we've seen that. That is true. So that's what he's talking about. He says, Garrett Wilson won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I can't see him coming back to the huddle, Rodgers lambasting him for running the wrong route. It's not going to fit. I don't see it. So that's an interesting take. And I have to admit, I've thought of similar reasons why I might not like it. Like, look, I've shared with you guys, ad nauseum. We've been talking about it for weeks. So I like the idea overall, but I have concerns. Now, concerns, a lot of us have shared these. One of the main concerns is his attitude. He brings, quote, baggage with him. Like that? Quote, baggage. Huh? He brings baggage with him, and Joe Klecko is talking about some of that baggage. The other side of it is Tiki Barber was out there, not a Jet, of course, but New York. And he said, look, if he's getting frazzled up there, and he brings that stuff here, if he's going to be bothered by this sort of thing, it's going to be bad because the New York press, market, fans, everything involved, it's like there's blood in the water and they feast. They don't get sympathetic and go, hey, man, look, guys, let's give them a second to breathe. They don't do that. They're not like, you know what, we're making them upset. Let's give him, hey, how about this, man? You take the night, go relax, sleep it off. We'll talk in the morning. How's that sound? Yeah, that's not us. That's not what happens here, right? So if he gets grumpy, they're going to poke it. They want the story. They want the gotcha. They want it. They want it so bad they can feel it and taste it. So that's what he's talking about, Tiki Barber. And I have to say that when we're talking about this baggage, this is kind of at least some of what we're talking about with Aaron Rodgers, and it could be a bad scene. Let's say it takes 3 or 4 weeks to get going. A month, the first month of the season might as well be 10 years. It might as well be 10 years. It seems like forever. If it takes a few weeks to get going, and he's going to be upset by that, it can be bad. I'm just saying, right? And I think Klecko has a point there. Now, Klecko goes on to say, and talks about Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr, a little bit different. Now, it's the perspective is really, it's nice. It's I think, appropriate. He says, now I could see a guy like Derek Carr who is an all-pro. He isn't an MVP, but he has had some great years, right? So he's already establishing, look, we're not talking about the same caliber of quarterback here, right? It's not the same level, so let's not get that twisted. Aaron Rodgers is elite. Derek Carr, very, very good. Let's say it that way. He's been an all-pro. He's been among the top people in the league. So he says, I just can't see them going after a guy who had all his years and had it his way. Then when it doesn't turn out his way, he goes dark. I just can't see it. Now that he's talking about Aaron Rodgers. So he compared that. He's like, look, I could see Derek Carr, who's not as good as maybe Aaron Rodgers, but can be more than good enough for what you need. The risks aren't necessarily the same. You know, mitigating risk versus reward, all those things. So, look, they bounced the mic around to some other dudes, and they stumbled upon another guy who gets into the Hall of Fame, ends up being a first ballot Hall of Famer. So the experience is a little different, but it all gets together, and they eat it in one Hall of Fame sandwich. Revis and Klecko. So Darrelle Revis puts in his 2 cents. Now, he likes the idea of Aaron Rodgers. And the way that he put it was having a superstar quarterback in Rodgers, he can definitely put points on the board very quickly, which would help the defense rest much better, that they can be more explosive. Now, I don't know how quickly. The quickly word is a little confusing there, but the sentiment is 100% accurate. I mean, like, again, the Jets had 6 one-score losses last year. We had games where the defense held teams to 7 points or less. And the offense couldn't figure out a way to win. And it's not because of talent, right? It's not because, it's just we were inept. We had an inability to connecting that little ball with the people who can get in the end zone. That was our problem, right? He's saying, you got the games that are that close. Aaron Rodgers puts you over the edge of that game. It puts you over the top. You win all those games. That's what he's insinuating here, right? But he does say this. I believe he has weapons at every position. And he's right. You look at Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Bam Knight, Conklin, Rucker, Uzoma. Like, we have players. We have more talent, more firepower than since, let's just say, 2010. All right? More complete package of talent than we've had since 2010. Again, 2015, we always got to add that in there, but I don't know. Either way, it's been a while. But this is what he says. He has a word of advice. And this is where the difficulty comes in. Remember, Tiki Barber's talking about it. Joe Klecko's talking about it. Lots of other people, of course, as well. But Revis says one thing. Come in humble. Now, can he do that? That's the question. Can he do that? Can Aaron Rodgers come in here humble? Maybe the fact that the Packers want to trade him could add some humility. I don't know. Well, unless they're just sitting there waiting and he's kind of the king of the roosters. I would like to leave now. And they go, that kind of could inflate. And the Jets are willing to take him and there's 10 teams interested. That could inflate the ego somewhat. I don't know. So Revis is saying, look, all the on the field stuff, crazy positive. He'd put us over the top and all that sort of stuff. And look, he says, as Jets fans, as Jets lovers, we can see some high-scoring games. We can see some big victories. So it's nice to see Revis kind of counting himself among us, the faithful, right? So that's always good to see and hear. But he's talking about the main thing, and it's really the obstacle. It's kind of what Joe Klecko was talking about as well. If he's going to come in here like a bull in a china shop and just kind of want everything his way, then it might not work, particularly if there's any negative rumblings in the team and it gets out to the press and it could be a powder keg. It could be an explosive scenario unless he comes in humble, which is really the crux. That's the crux of the whole thing. Derek Carr, you don't have to worry about that. I don't know. Maybe some other guys, you might not have to worry about that. Geno Smith. I saw Geno Smith As the CBS said this week, Geno Smith is the quarterback the Jets should go get. That's the guy. That's the free agent the Jets should go after with all vigor. Geno Smith. So maybe he doesn't come in here with the same ego. Who knows? He's been humbled by life. Right? He's a different fella than the guy we had. That's cool. That's all right. But I don't know if that's the guy we should be going for. He's better than what we've had, no doubt. But, So anyway, it's kind of the whole scenario here. The whole situation is kind of mucky. And this is where Joe Douglas and by proxy, Robert Saleh and the rest of the guys, they have to really be careful here. This is a big one. We have a team. We have more talent than we've had in a long time. We have potentially, if it continues, a top 5 defense. We were number 1 in certain categories, number 2 in certain categories, and top 5 in pretty much most others. And we have weapons all over the joint. We have what looks like decent coaching, right? We experience coaching on the offensive side of the ball, which is different. Defensive side looks pretty strong. So we have all these things. If we have a quarterback, we get this right. We're talking about our greatest chance to get to the championship that we've seen in a long time. But it also could be explosive. One of those guys, the top guy on your list, probably could ruin it all. Could ruin it all, Jets fans. Oh. So let me know. You think Klecko's, you think he's off base? You think Revis he doesn't know what he's talking about? What about Tiki Barber? Do you give it 2 shits what Tiki Barber's saying? Hey, get out of here. You're blue. Beat it. You feel like that? I do. Sometimes. I feel like that sometimes. But let me know what you think, man, in the comments. What's going on with all this stuff? How do you feel? Let me know. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the matter. No intelligent gripe this week. I'm not feeling too intelligent. I'm feeling kind of stupid. So we can't do that. I don't want to give you the stupid gripe. So guys, have a great rest of the week. We'll be talking all week. We have tons of stuff finally happening this week. Let's dig in together. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. And as always, go Jets.